I am officially going to show you how to make the cheapest bug pest deterrent ever using some unconventional supplies, but it works way more effectively. So the sparrows in my backyard have literally lost their minds. They are deciding to eat pretty much everything that has a leaf on it. They've eaten my beets, just the sprouts, so I'm gonna have to reseed all my beets. They've eaten all the leaves off my peas. They've eaten all my lettuce, and they've even gone into cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts, just weird stuff that I've never seen before. So unfortunately, I am pretty much netting my entire backyard because I mostly just produce food. And I need a really inexpensive way to do this, because you have to let me know in the comments down below if you guys feel the same way. Some of this stuff's getting expensive for gardening. I was blown away. For 20 by 10, which is basically a giant square for the most part, is like $34, which isn't gonna even do a small portion of my yard or the amount of food that I grow. So I've decided to just go completely rogue and I found some really cheap ways to do this. So stay tuned for that. If you're new here, my name's Ashley and I'm a soil scientist, and I like to take that science and apply it to all things plants, both indoors and outside. And this definitely is not scientific, but it works. So I'm going to show you kind of what I'm doing over on the other side of the yard, because I do still need to set that one up. But the basic premise here is I'm using 9-gauge wire that I just got from Home Depot. It's literally meant for repairing fences. It's not even meant for this. And that's what this little green tube is here. You can get them covered in the plastic, or you can get them just bare. Now, the one with the green plastic was the cheapest. That's why I got it. No other reason other than that. And then this beautiful, shiny, it's literally shiny, has sparkles in it, actually, is Tulle for weddings. So $24 from Amazon. And this one is 59 inches wide by 50 feet long, which is going to do, like I said, a huge portion of my yard. So grand total cost for this entire setup to do well over 50 feet of my garden is around 50 bucks, which is basically the price of just the net without the hoops for pretty much everything else. Not bug related. The one thing you will need that I don't have many of, so I'm using tomato clips right now, but I'm going to purchase, I'm just gonna run a Walmart or whatever and grab some, but clothespins. They don't have to be the fancy tomato clips, they just need to be hose pins. And in this case, I'm literally clipping them here onto the wood. But if you didn't have a raised bed, our container, this would work too. If you didn't have a raised bed, I would be clipping them to here and then bunching at the end, but that's what I'm going to show you over on the other plot. So I'm going to show you exactly how I set this bad boy up and the height of the hoops, how I determined length, all that fun stuff. So this is basically the length I decided on. And remember the saying, work smarter, not harder? Well, that's kind of what I did to determine what the length would be. I used one of my cold frame low tunnels and I just measured the wire on this to determine what height to go with, and from there all I'm doing is simply taking that length and then recutting the initial wire so that they are that length and cutting it all into strips. But I didn't do all of it because I wanted to show you exactly how to do that process. So essentially this is my wire I somehow managed to tangle, or got another piece. This is my end here, and then I'm just going to take my guide wire, and you want to use the same guide wire every single time because you will notice that you get shorter and shorter if you use a different line, so always use your original. And then all I'm doing is holding on this end and then just like keeping a firm grip and pinching. You don't have to be rough or tough on it, and then just going around until I feel the end of the second wire, which I do not feel yet. Okay, there it is. So now I know I'm at the end, and I'm just going to give it a snip. And then I just literally continue the entire process for the rest of this wire. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you how I install these in the ground. Don't mind the lawn behind me. We're in the process of killing this lawn off so I can put a garden here. whole other story. But anyways, so you can see actually some of the damage that has been done to this garden sock here. All the plants in the garden sock have been basically decimated by my birdie friends. And one thing I will say with any sort of pest, I'm not necessarily this proactive and I'm not usually this defensive over it. However, they've done a lot of damage, and normally I will let things run their course in hopes that, you know, it'll peter off or whatever the case is. Nothing petered off here. It's just gotten progressively worse, and I've tried various different things like pie plates on a stake, so the wind blows, it scares them off, that sort of thing. Nothing's working. They're hungry, and I think it's because a lot of people took their bird feeders down because of the bird flu, because we're supposed to here in Canada. So I think that's the reason why. And I just can't. I'm sorry, birdies. It's game over for you. And so that's why I'm using this. And don't mind the pollen. That is not algae. That is pollen. I live in an older neighborhood. And let me tell you, there is a lot of trees. Okay, so one thing about this, when you do go to stick these in, is you will have to do some bending, but for the most part, it's pretty easy to do because 9 gauge is pretty malleable. If you went for something a little tougher, this would be a little bit more difficult, but for the most part, it's pretty simple. And I'm just gonna go through, and some of these I'm gonna have to actually probably retransplant, to be honest, because it's just, they're looking really rough. So the spacing in the wire actually is not that technical. It all depends on the gauge wire you get and how heavy the tool is that you end up with. Now the tool I'm using is literally meant for wetting, so it's not UV resistant or, you know, whatever. It's literally probably 1 season, maybe 2, and it's garbage, but it's $24 for 50 some feet, and it was 59 inches wide, which is crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. So the actual spacing isn't really important because it's so lightweight. The plants will just push it out of the way if there's any sags or bends in the actual setup. So don't be too concerned with that. You can always put more into place, but I'm doing around 2 feet spacing on average, but again, not an exact science, and just kind of go with the look or feel that you like. I'm gonna install the rest of these and then I'll show you what I do with the tool. So this is what the tool looks like. It has the sparkles in it, but like I said, it's not UV sterilized because it is the cheap stuff. However, it's going to let the water in and keep the bugs and the sparrows out. And literally all I'm going to do for this one, because it's on the ground, is I'm going to take a bunch at the end and I'm going to set a rock on top of it, this rock on top of it. You can see how much I improvise sometimes. Okay, and then I'm just literally going to lay it out, so I will show you what that looks like. I just felt like a garden's bridesmaid. Bridesmaid to my garden. Now I'm literally going to just tuck this in nice and gently, and then as my plants grow, they will lift this up around them. But in the meantime, I don't want the wind taking off with it, so I'm just taking this edge and tucking it underneath my sock. There's one of my nemesis. You know, the pond probably doesn't help. It's like a little watering hole for them. Okay, so I'm gonna make this look nice because I was hoping for this to just be like a prettier part of the yard. The sparrows changed that for me. I'm just going to tuck this in and I'll show you what the final product looks like. Okay, there we have it, done. Bug net complete. Bug sparrow net, I guess you could say. And all for under 50 bucks. And I did a huge portion of the backyard. I'm probably gonna have to grab another roll because I have some other brassicae species I need to plant, as well as I need to also plant some other lettuce, spinach, kale type stuff, just for freezing or drying over the winter. I like to put in stir fries and that sort of thing. And they're gonna get at that too, so I have to do something, as well as peas. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I may just not be able to plant those this year because I need them to trellis because they're literally snap peas, snow peas, and shelling peas. So if anyone has any ideas for that, please let me know. The pest is sparrows, or maybe some finches, but it's birds is what the issue is. I've tried like spinning fleshy stuff, didn't work. I guess I could try cayenne pepper, I'm not really sure. We'll see what happens. I hope I get peas this year because I'm gonna be angry at Mr. Sparrow if that's the case. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.